Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and this week I've been driving the 2023 Toyota Supra manual. Up front is a 3.0 liter turbocharged inline 6, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video for one main reason. I have spent the last 8 days with this Toyota Supra. I have a lot of thoughts, some good, some not so good, which was really surprising. So I am excited to share all of that with you today. But if you'd like to share your vehicle with me, you can head on over to my website, zackprandtl.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and you would get a video of your car, just like the one you're watching now of this Toyota Supra manual. But let's get back to that 3-liter turbo under the hood, known as the B58. For 2023, the engine makes 382 horsepower, so you get an almost 50 horsepower bump over the original Mark V Supra. It is a delectable, delicious engine that I love so dearly. It sounds phenomenal. Here's a cold start. It is fast. It is blindingly fast, as opposed to a lot of the other press cars that I get. I'm used to driving Corollas and Volvos and the occasional Hyundai Electric. So this is a fast automobile. It sounds so good, and I really, really enjoy it. But let's get to that manual transmission, what everyone probably wants to know about, and I don't like it. Now, let me preface this. Us journalists, we asked for a manual transmission in the Supra since it launched. That was the biggest thing that everyone complained about, and myself included. There should be a manual in this car, and I'm very glad that there is a manual. However, there's one big issue. It's called the CDV, clutch delay valve. It's a little valve in the slave cylinder of the transmission that actually delays the clutch slightly. I've read that this is either A, for new drivers, or B, for emissions, or maybe a mix of both. But what ends up happening is that if you're experienced with a manual transmission, you know how to shift a car, it's going to punish you by burning the clutch. So in order to fix this, there's 2 things you could do. First of all, go into the sport menus and turn on automatic rev matching. This will automatically rev the car up to the exact RPM when downshifting, and it's really going to save your clutch. The other thing you can do, and what you should do, is delete the CDV. I will leave linked down below a Supra forum post that tells you exactly how to do it. It's about $80 worth of parts and makes the transmission so much better out of the box. This has been an issue with BMWs across the board, and because this is a BMW transmission, technically, it has that same issue. Is this a huge complaint? No, and if I bought one, I would do that fix right away. My big issue with it is that if I buy a $60,000 car, I want it to be ready to be driven out of the box. At $60,000, it shouldn't be some assembly required, and that's how I feel about this transmission. I shouldn't have to modify it, but I do. The rest of the driving characteristics are great. The shifter feels pretty good. It's really stiff. If you're familiar with BMW shifters, you'll feel right at home. Clutch is light enough, easy enough to operate, again, with that auto rev matching turned on. Auto rev matching, which was once recreational, is now prescribed here in the Supra. So that's my 2 cents on the transmission. It's fixable, but out of the box, it does not feel good. Last but not least about the drivetrain, of course, the Supra is rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to actually drive the Supra? Well, getting past the clutch, it's fun, it is fast, it is great. Visibility is awful. The ride quality is fine for a sports car. I don't feel any certain way about it, but it's a Supra. It makes the right Supra noises. It goes like a Supra, and that's exactly what I want. Real world fuel economy. This will be a fun one. 17.4 miles to the gallon over almost 300 miles of driving. It's a Supra. I mean, you're not gonna drive it like a grandma, so expect pretty low fuel economy numbers. This is what I got over the week, and I'm not mad about it at all. that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have some physical and some digital gauges. Off to the left, I have my fuel. Off to the right, I have my coolant temperature. I love these sort of health bar looking gauges. And in the center, I get my digital tachometer, which I love, and when you put it into sport mode, it actually extends the red line a little bit, while also making the exhaust louder. There's a valve in the exhaust. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my cruise control options, and off to the right, I have my mode, volume, and phone options. There is no dedicated button for skip track on the steering wheel, which is really annoying. There is this little scroll wheel, and what you have to do is actually look at the head-up display, and that will show you if you are skipping or going back with your music. I hate this. This should be a physical button, and I didn't even know that this correlated with the head-up display until I was driving it at night 2 nights ago, because when you drive during the day, if you have polarized sunglasses on, you cannot see the head-up display. So I don't want to be looking to see if I'm skipping track on the button. That's just stupid. So that should be fixed. The overall steering wheel is nice. It feels good in my hands, and I've pleasantly enjoyed it. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent and my headlight switches. And on the door, we have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows, as well as the JBL speaker. The sound system's fine, nothing to note about it, but it's decent. Moving into the center, we do have the infotainment screen. So if you're familiar with BMW's iDrive system, you're gonna feel right at home. If you're used to Toyota's system, this is going to feel very alien to you. It is relatively easy to use. There's a lot of good info in here as well. It does have wireless CarPlay, which is good, is great, I use it, but if you plug your phone in with a wired connection, you can't use CarPlay. So it forces you, if you want CarPlay, you have to use it wirelessly, which there's always a lag in the music. If you try to watch videos while parked, the sound isn't going to be synced. It's a whole mess. Then we do have the hazard switch and climate control vents, and our favorite buttons down below, which can be set to not only your favorite radio station, but maybe your favorite destination, maybe your favorite contact. You can set one of these to go directly to Apple CarPlay, and if you hover your hand over it, it will show you what each favorite is assigned to. Then we have our climate controls. We do get heated seats, dual zone climate, and auto, and these climate controls are fantastic. There have been several times throughout this hot week that I've had the AC on so cold that I had to crack a window because I was starting to get chilly. That is a very good sign out of the climate controls of any car, let alone a Toyota Supra. Then we do have a wireless charger, which I like, but there's this dumb cover on it, which makes getting your phone out of the wireless charger feel like a heist job. I feel like I need a hostage negotiator just to check my text messages. Then we come to the shifter. Shifter looks fantastic, feels good, has a nice quality to it, and I really enjoy that part of it. Off to the left, we have our automatic start-stop on and off because this is on by default anytime you start the Supra. However, down below, it's the sport button, so that will change the gauge a little bit, open up those exhaust valves, and turn off the auto start-stop. So anytime I start the Supra, I put it immediately into sport mode, and that's where it stays for the remainder of my drive. Then we do have our parking sensors on and off, which are way overly sensitive and very annoying, so I turn those off all the time. Traction control off, and my safety system on and off. Power parking brake in the center, which is really nice for a manual car because once you engage it into first gear and start rolling, it automatically turns off. Then off to the right, we have the selector for the infotainment screen. I've always really liked this. It has great tactile feedback and is very easy to use. However, with it being a touchscreen, I actually surprisingly found myself just using the touchscreen more than this knob at all. I barely used this in the 8 days that I had the car, so kind of interesting. I would have expected myself to go the other way, but I didn't. Then moving back on the center console, we do have 2 cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the manual Supra. And as we know from the Chicago Auto Show, which I tested at first, it does fail, but I do want to note, or let's do the music. All right, but I do want to note that with 2 cups here, like I went to Chick-fil-A with my girlfriend and we had 2 giant styrofoam cups, not great for the environment, but in the car, and it made shifting an absolute nightmare. I had to bend my arm in a weird pipe cleaner way just to shift. So very annoying if you have anything in the cup holders. Then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are comfortable. They do hold you in pretty aggressively, but that's what I want and expect out of a Toyota Supra. I want it to feel sporty, and gosh darn it, it does. We don't have back seats, but one thing I do want to talk about with the interior is the wind noise. If you know anything about this generation of Supra, you know that around 50 miles an hour with both windows down, it causes this terrible air noise. It's like this whoa, 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 whoa inside the cabin. It's like if you've ever been driving decently fast and you have one window down and one window not, it creates that helicopter effect. That happens with both windows down here in the Supra. Now again, this doesn't bother me a whole lot because there is an easy, cheap fix. You get these little winglets that go by the mirror, and that sort of deflects the air around the cabin so you don't get that noise. But to me, how did that get through the development phase from BMW and Toyota, two brands that have very good attention to detail, somehow missed that the car makes a dreadful noise at 50 miles an hour? It blows my mind that not only that got through the development, but that Toyota has done nothing to fix it in the 3 years since this car was released. That, to me, is impressively dumb from a very impressively smart company. But I digress. Let's talk about the trunk. All right, so we're on the back of the Toyota Supra, and there is no external trunk pop. There's either one on the inside of the driver's door, or you could do it on the key fob. Pop it like that, pop it, lock it, and drop it, and open it up. So you do get this nice cargo cover, which actually is rigid, so you can rest stuff on it, light objects, of course, and they will be fine when you're, sort of shuffling stuff around. The trunk space itself is great, but you get these giant hips on either end, making the opening somewhat small. So small that there's this little sort of cargo cover down here, and if we pop this up, you can see the battery down there. But that's as far as you can get it out. That's it. Kind of weird, but anyway. And I will say that the trunk is large enough to fit a 4'11" person if that's something you want or need to do. So, just something to note. Not crazy space in the back of the Supra, but it's a sports car. You don't need a lot of space in the back. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is the biggest benefit of the Supra. It looks amazing. I love these big, dark wheels. It is finished in stratosphere blue, which almost looks purple in some lights, and anytime I've shown anyone this car, they go, wow, that is a good looking car. And I agree. It looks fantastic, and I love it with my whole heart. I could stare at this for months, years, decades, and still enjoy the way that this Supra looks. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Toyota Supra manual for the last 8 days? Well, I really loved my time with the car. I really did. There are several instances that really, really piss me off. But I still got a stupid smile ear to ear anytime I walked out into my garage and knew I was taking out the Toyota Supra. I'm not sure it would be the same for any other car, but as soon as I start driving it, I start to forget all of those downsides. This car makes me very happy, and it's very fun. It's almost human in the fact that it has those downsides, but we just sort of breeze past them and enjoy the love of the drive. I really, really like this car. I really, really do. I don't want that to be misconstrued, and I don't want someone to say, oh, this YouTube kid is given a Supra for a week and then he dogs on it. I don't want this to be a negative review, because I love this car genuinely. There just were some shortcomings that I wasn't expecting. My hopes were through the roof with this car, and so when they fall short, it hurts even more. The Toyota Supra will be solidified as one of my favorite cars I've driven this year. Hands down, without a doubt. But do want to bring up one final talking point. That is the price tag. This car is $60,000. $6,000. Now, in terms of performance cars, it's actually decently a bargain, especially anyone from the parent company of BMW. You look at an M3 or an M2, and you're right up there and even actually more expensive. But one thing kept nagging me. One little two-door, flat four little thing. If it were my money, I would buy a GR86. Here's why. First of all, you're saving yourself $20,000. I'm no mathematician, but that's a decent chunk of change. The other reason is that this car is too fast to really truly enjoy here in the suburbs. I don't personally enjoy driving much above the speed limit, and the consequences are too dire if I get a speeding ticket. If I get my license taken away, all of this goes away. I don't have a YouTube channel anymore. I don't have a job if I lose my license, so I can't bargain with that. And so this car, the way it's geared, the way it drives, third gear will take you up to triple digits. This road is 50 miles an hour. I'm in second gear. There we go. Now we're up to speed. I mean, what fun is that? The GR86, you can snot and beat on all you want, and you're going to be doing under the speed limit, but you're going to be having fun. It's going to feel like you're going faster. This car, I'm cruising in third gear, doing the speed limit, and now it feels like any other car. This right now is not a $20,000 more experience. So for me, I would save the money and go with the GR86. Unless you really want that power and you really want to wring it out any chance you get, yeah, the Supra is fantastic at that. But living in a suburban town where there's not many back roads to hit, the GR86 is the way to go. And I did not expect to say that when Toyota sent me this car a week ago. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota for letting me take out and borrow their Toyota Supra for the last 8 days. They are absolutely awesome. Toyota has been so good to me, and I really can't thank all of their Midwestern reps enough. Huge thank you to Drive Shop and, of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association for making this video possible. You have my heart and my mind. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.